Hey, it's time to talk about visual supports in module number 8. Visual supports, big part of your game as an autism support person. You remember the video by Temple Grandin? It was in the Teaching Effectively module, I do believe. And Temple Grandin talks about what a visual learner she is. And she has many books out there talking about thinking in pictures and things like that, if you're interested in checking some of that stuff out. Visual supports are a super duper critical component of what you're learning in this course that you're taking. It's going to be a huge skill that you take back to your classroom. So in this module, what we want you to understand is the rationale for using visuals. Why use them? What's the purpose? What's the importance? Also, to explore the different types. There are tons of different types. Simple things, maybe some that are more complex, but visual supports can range from anything from a simple cue, or just an object, to a very elaborate schedule or folder or something like that that might go up in somebody's locker or be hanging on the wall in the classroom. And then learning specific strategies for implementing visual supports. So those are our goals for this module. Think about it. Okay, how many of you out there use a paper calendar to structure your life? How many of you use a phone or some sort of digital way to capture your schedule? Yeah. How many of you use both or a combination? I do. How many of you are into checklists, like writing things out on a piece of paper and then checking them off? How many of you take a checklist to the grocery store? How many of you are like me that once you get to that last check, it is like awesome, such a great feeling to feel like that is complete? That's a visual support. How many of you use Google Maps or some sort of GPS? That's a visual support. How many of you drive? Okay. How many of you use road signs? Things hanging off the freeway to tell you where to turn. All of those things are all visual supports. So the point is, we all use them, every single one of us, throughout our lives and our day. And our students with autism, no different. But we can cater visuals to their specific needs. So the ways visuals can help, if you have a person that has auditory processing difficulties or processing information through that channel, a visual can help make that concrete. With auditory information, it's out and then it's gone. Once a person says it and they're done saying it, it goes away forever. The person who receives it is expected to then process it and keep it. A visual makes that permanent. Visuals can help with social cues, so social information that we're missing. Really, a social story is a kind of a social visual, if you think about it. You can do things like turn-taking pictures to help with turn-taking. You can help with, we worked with one little boy who would use a really loud voice all the time, and we had to kind of use a visual to show him that that was his lion voice, Arr! And that sometimes he needed a mouse voice when we were in quiet places. So we made a visual of a lion and a mouse, and then we took pictures of really common places in his life and had him decide if that was a place where the lion voice could be used sometimes, or if it's better to have his mouse voice there. And that was all a visual lesson we did to help him teach a social communication skill. It can help your students stay focused or shift their attention to new tasks. So if you have a student that really struggles to stay focused, a visual can really help keep them centered and focused on the task. Sometimes even just using a highlighter to highlight the areas of a task that are expected can really help. It does not have to be super complicated. Visuals communicate important information, like you're going to talk about creating visual schedules for your students. First and then, which is first you're going to do this and then you get some sort of reinforcer or reward afterwards. Just communicating those basic expectations can happen through a visual. Filtering distractions, you can use visuals to filter out too much information if people get overloaded by that, and visuals are very helpful with transition. So if you have a student that struggles to transition between tasks or between environments, a visual can really help make that more clear and structured. All right. So in this module, you're going to see a ton of different samples and examples. What's really important for you to remember is that there is no one way to do this. There's no like set dozen visuals. It is whatever the need of the student is telling you to create. And it just so happens that the needs of our students often tell us to create visual schedules or first then cards or using visual timers to show when an activity is over. But you should feel free to now start to look at your students' needs and say, you know, I think a visual support for shoe tying would be huge for them. Something along those lines. You need to be free now to start to explore and experiment. And I guarantee you, if you know what Pinterest is, you can hop on there and even your wildest visual dream has probably already been created on Pinterest. Things like kitchen timers are great tools, little digital timers or time timers that actually have the red area that gets smaller. Simple things like that can really help. Visuals can help us offer choices to our students. So a lot of the times we as caregivers and adults and teachers are making all kinds of decisions for the student, but that takes away their power and their agency. So a choice board that shows a variety of choices that they can make can be a great way to give them more power and control. Let's jump over and unpack our module. Let's see what's going on in there. You have, in addition to the usual suspects of our PowerPoint and portfolio and discussion and quiz, 3 different videos from our agency, Tracy and Julie O'Malley from our West Virginia Autism Training Center. We have 3 videos in there that should help kind of show you different samples and examples to maybe get your ideas going. There's a wonderful handout that also talks about a ton of ideas for visual supports. And we have tips on how to create them. So really this module is going to be rich in examples and how to build things for your students, when to build them, what need those visuals might fill for them. And I think you're going to get a lot of good hands-on information in this module. Then you're going to take it, apply it to your portfolio student and say, all right, what do I need to create for them when I go back to that environment? You are, after this module, 2 away from the end. So wonderful work, and let's finish strong. Here we go.